Barrow and Furness.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. Now, this is an excellent day for this Chamber and the House of Commons because we have some fantastic bills coming through today, and none more so than this one. I am absolutely delighted to speak in favour of this bill. The estimated economic and social cost to this country of reoffending is £18.1 billion a year. Research has found that those who have chaotic experiences in the community before or after custody, such as insecure accommodation, employment needs or substance misuse, are more likely to reoffend. In 2018 to 19, approximately 40% of adult prisoners were released to unsettled accommodation, rough sleeping or homelessness, or their accommodation status was unknown on the first night of release. Around 42% of prisoners have either an alcohol or drugs need, or both. The Prison Strategy White Paper set out a number of ways to improve the situation, including education services, dealing with dependency on drugs, and help to get people into work following release, all of which are excellent ideas. They all cost money, though, and that money could be wasted with an ex-offender leaving prison on a Friday with a few pounds in their pocket and potentially nowhere to go, with no agencies open to offer support over the weekend. As a councillor with Charnwood Borough Council, and I refer members to my register of interests, because I am still a councillor, I was lucky enough to chair a series of panels on reducing reoffending, and I met not only ex-offenders, police and housing support officers, but local charities that work to support ex-offenders, which Loughborough simply could not do without. Charities such as Exario, the Carpenter's Arms, the Bridge and Futures Unlocked all offer outstanding service to ex-offenders and others from across the country to help them to turn their lives around. I have seen the work of those charities. It is exemplary. I continue to support them in all that they do. As part of the panel's work, we took evidence and made a series of recommendations. There are 6 pages of recommendations. I promise not to refer to all the 6 pages right now, but I will refer to only one, which states, the panel makes representations to the local MPs in respect of the day of the week prisoners are released from prison and highlight the issues surrounding Friday release. And the reason for that recommendation was support for offenders is not readily available on a Friday or over the weekend. Therefore, a release earlier in the week provides officers with greater opportunities to divert offenders away from previous habits and friends towards services and to provide support in respect of housing, benefits and health-related issues. That work was done in 2011, so it has taken us some time, but I believe we are achieving such a great goal today. If you wouldn't mind indulging me for just a moment, the BBC have printed an article today. It's on the website by Helen Catt, and it's called "My Friday Prison Release Led to a Disastrous Mistake." And I'll read just a passage, if I may. Prisoners vulnerable to addiction, mental health issues or homelessness will no longer be released on Fridays under new plans to cut reoffending. One prisoner who breached parole after being released on a Friday says he felt let down by the system. He told the BBC his story and what it says about prisoners at risk of lapsing back into the life of crime. He said, "By the time I got to the housing department, it was a Friday afternoon and there was no one there to see me. I knew the offices wouldn't be open again until the Monday. I was quite fearful of where I was going to stay that night. I didn't want to stay on the streets." Mark Conway was 17 years old when he was released on a Friday after 3 months in HMP Feltham Young Offenders Institution in London. Without anywhere to go, he made what he describes as a disastrous mistake and stayed with a known associate. In doing so, he broke his licence conditions and was recalled to prison to serve out the remaining 3 months of his sentence. He said, "I felt like I had let people down, first and foremost, that I'd been recalled back to prison so soon," he said. "I was angry, I was resentful of the system. I felt the system had let me down again, and I dread to think what I would have done that night if I didn't have somewhere to stay." Mark has served a number of sentences for a range of serious offences, last leaving prison 4.5 years ago. However, in 2019, he was one of the people who pinned down the convicted terrorist on London Bridge. after that person had fatally stabbed 2 people. That is a person we want in society. That is a person I believe we should help. And that hopefully, by not releasing people on a Friday, we'll be able to assist those people much earlier on after perhaps their initial crime, and therefore help them much earlier on in the process rather than having 4.5 years in prison afterwards as he had. So in conclusion, I congratulate my honourable friend, the member for Workington, first of all, who introduced this bill, and also my honourable friend, the member for Barrow and Furness, who has taken up the challenge. With one small bill, they are going to make a huge difference to people's lives, and I thank them very much for doing so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I join in congratulating my honourable friend for Barrow